Welcome everybody. Welcome back to the NLR hosted esports battle event and our second round of 10 for this cash prize esports event between all the different teams that I shall take you through very shortly. This is round 2. We're going to Catalunya, as you can see, of course. And as things stand after round 1, and it's very important to note that the points were awarded for qualifying and for the race. Not as many for qualifying, but it definitely means something as we go to full qualifying, of course. With leading the championship right now, we have Evora Racing in the Haas cars, and they are on 46 points, followed by ADRT Esports in the AlphaTauri, who are on 33, and then X11 in the McLaren on 22. We have CPI Esports, who took part in a team versus team 5 versus 5 battle with NLR earlier in the week. You can check that out on this channel, of course. CPI on 21 points in the Alfa Romeos. Then we have Elite Racing Team on 18 in the Red Bulls. IRT on 16 in the Alpine. Relentless on 7 points in the Mercedes. Then, of course, our hosts in the Aston Martin. NLR on just 4 points. And yet to score, we have DTR Esports, another former rival of NLR's on the previous events, on the standalone events, and the ARC Esports, who are in Ferrari, also yet to score. So lots of things to prove from our drivers today. It's Q1, of course, so an 18-minute session. Make that 16.5-minute session now, where we will get going for our first knockout phase, of course. And of course, no points will be awarded for anyone being knocked out in this stage or in the next stage, but points down to 10th place, and I think a maximum of 15 available for pole position. So it's all about a team sport, of course, because nobody will take part in all the races. I wouldn't have thought. No individual. It is a team battle, so it's all about cooperation, all about team tactics, and your overall score after the 10th checkered flag falls. Well, welcome, of course, to everybody tuning in. Great to have you all here. Hey to Sparks and Thanos, who were first out there with the comments, and do keep the chat going. Do let me know if you see something. I'm on my own on comms today, as before, so if you see something and want to discuss it, or do let me know. My name is Webbo, and if you like my commentary, you can follow me on Twitter at WebboRed5. But all being well, we will have a fair fight tonight, a great session. It looks like Sparks saying we're going to have a wet race, and he's not exactly pleased about it. So that one's going to be interesting. It looks like it's dry for Q1 at least, and it's Russell who will be the first car out there on a flying lap. So we'll join Russell in response to him being out there first of all. So Russell barreling down the start-finish straight and heading towards the Elf turn 1. Big amount of apex. Now it's up the hill and it's virtually flat depending on setup. Looks a little bit loose at the rear on these medium tyres already. Medium tyre is an interesting choice if you're confident in your ability. Of course, the tyres get a good workout through this lap, so time will tell if medium tyres are the way to go on Q1. But good for a first banker lap, of course, and you can see how many cars either invalidate or crash out of their first trip. So working his way now through turn 9, camps up, and down to La Caixa turn 10. Good overtaking opportunity, turn 10, the slowest corner on the track after a medium-sized straight. Now, tricky to get through this turn 12 cleanly. It's all about throttle pickup and application. Now this Mickey Mouse section at the end of the lap, nobody likes it, but you can blame Tilka for ruining the end of the lap. Under instruction, of course, but Russell 117.226 is the first car to cross the line. Sparks is just behind him. Sparks immediately a 16.1. Of course, we'd expect Sparks, last week's winner, to be quick. And Larkin goes P2 in the McLaren for the XL team. We've got nobody else has actually completed their lap just yet. Felix 1 for NLR goes through and gets the P3. All these medium tyre runners now. I wonder if they know something that Sparks does not about Q1. Looks like there's a Haas turn round. Is that Sparks, in fact, or his teammate Rampage? So, bit of a question mark on that one. The Evora team have not put EV or EG on their gamer tags, so that's making life a little bit difficult for me, who hasn't learned every single team off by heart just yet. Looks like is that Thorpe? Thorpe has gone through in a P7 time, so not too strong at this stage, but a 1:16.1. As Relentless is Nathan in the Mercedes goes fastest, a 1:16.109 versus Sparks 1:49. Lots of support for CPR, lots of support of course for NLR. We definitely need NLR to pick things up as the host. They've not had the best part of this run. We've got Leroy out there working the wheel on a fast lap in the Ferrari. I'll try and keep you abreast of what's going on. And Rampage is out of the session. Rampage presumably has crashed out. Rampage, I can't see where he is, but he will obviously be eliminated from this first session. Late braking here for Leroy on his first lap, so it will show purple, but we won't know how competitive he is until we hit the start-finish line. Rampage, I wonder what happened to him. Hopefully, I've asked our drivers to try and let me know if they have an issue and they retire from one of our sessions, and tell me what's gone on. Leroy up to P3, that's a good time, although it is the slowest of the soft times so far. I wonder what the drivers are going to do to improve. So far we've got, I think, is that one of the one of the Alpines, Boopji, Head Boomji has gone P9. Jay-Z just coming through for CPI goes a P8, a 17.0, and there's a lot of 17.0s out there already. So we'll head down to see who else is running a lap. It's Shaby. Shaby's quite early on in his lap, so let's see where Jackson is. Actually, he's further back from Shaby. So Shaby in the Williams, who is, of course, representing the DTR team. So perhaps the tiny little trim of yellow trim line on the Williams representing the DTR's colours. Shaby's first lap then at the moment. We've had our first runs. Cars starting their second out laps. Are they? I don't think so just yet, because we had Sparks and it was Russell who were the first out. Russell will be out to try and improve on that time. But Shaby on the red tyres, the red soft tyres in the Williams. DTR Esports gets them up to P8 so far. So great work from him. I think this is Jackson just about to cross the line. He did. Jackson got up to P8. So a nice time from Jackson. And what's Russell going to do with his next time here? We'll see if he's positive. He's stayed on those medium tyres, which again, an interesting decision. We've got medium tyres up in 5th. I don't know if the teams will have coordinated their strategies, whether they're in a party chat with each other, whether there's actually a race engineer watching the stream. If there is some race engineering going on, please let me know. I'm sure Harley's doing his best for NLR, but anybody else out there in the race engineer role using the stream? So Relentless currently have the pole position as the drivers start their second runs, and we're riding with Russell right now through turn 9. We'll get a sector time as he enters the braking zone. He's only a small amount under, so unless he had a particularly awful final sector, this isn't going to, on his first run, this isn't going to get him up a place. Ooh, a little bit of understeer through the tricky turn 13. Deal with the difficult final chicane. Ooh, there was a slight appearance of a car on the track, a little bit of a ghost moment there. Russell then for the line, no big improvement, looked a little bit troublesome through that section. Hey Rogers in the Red Bull gets out there and gets in P2 from nowhere. So Hey Rogers for Elite Racing Team, ERT, straight up there with his teammate Thomas, is in 5th place as well, and yet to set a time. We've got, of course, Rampage, but Vettel and Isu for ADRT. Vettel driving for the CPI team as well. Hey Rogers with a good time. Everybody else in the pits. Killer Blue's out on a lap, I think. He's a 10th and a half faster than he's been before so far through sector 1. No, he's not. That was a misleading graphic. Okay. Let's have a look down at Thorpe G. Thorpe? Let me know if you know the pronunciation of Thorpe. Is that a Dutch? It's actually Thorpe, isn't it? Forgive me, Thorpe. I haven't commentated on your name before. As we get down into the second sector time, and he's 3/10 up. Tom Robbo says Nathan for Relentless will dominate here. That's a good shout at this late stage. It would have been a lot more credit if you had given me that information before he set the provisional pole. Sparks, I'm sure, is looking to go a bit quicker, but has got a nice banker lap in. And Thorpe in P10, possibly the worst place to start on the race, but it's all about not being in the bottom 5 at this stage of proceedings. So you'll forgive me if I favour some of the slower drivers to see if they can get their way out. Currently out there is Nathan on a slightly off-kilter run compared to his rivals, who are all in the pits at the moment. Just Rampage and Thopye, who has just set his time. So we'll watch with Nathan while he's under his time, and then we'll cut away and try and see some of the slower drivers or drivers who have yet to set a time. Michael Vettel and Isu right down there at the bottom of the order. Russell also on an outlap as well. He's got the car turned around very quickly. Nathan going very slowly here. Doesn't want to overwork those soft tyres. We've got soft tyres for the leading 6 drivers, and then 11th and 12th. Everybody else trying mediums on their first 2 runs, but I expect that to change if they're in danger. They'll be in danger of elimination. They'll be out there doing a bit more on the higher grip tyre. Who's up for this one, guys? I know I am. Last week Q3 was absolutely electric. Nathan then in Q1 just trying to establish his dominance, set the bar, and get into a good rhythm for the next quality session. Doesn't really need to be running, but I'm sure he's all about proving himself over and over, just like any racer. Nathan will come out of turn 4 and get a sector time. Oh, he's certainly within a shout of improving, just 6,000ths of a second slower, but that's not going to be a quicker way around at all, unfortunately. So we'll join Michael, who just starts his run here. He's behind Nathan on track, but he needs to set a time. All the pressure in the world on top of Michael now, especially with all of his teammates watching for DTR. It's great to have the team support, but sometimes when you're in a tight spot like Michael is right now, as added pressure, you don't want to let the side down, of course. So getting the car in there to turn 7 and 8 through 9 quite smoothly. The car looks planted underneath him. Getting the car down into turn 10, the La Caixa and this Bank de Sabadell, turn 12. He's got good turning control here with the car. So through the final corner, the New Holland right-hander, a 1:16.1 goes up to P4. That'll do very nicely. That's probably safe. Shaby in P6 behind him on the grid. Next we've got Boomji, who is a little way back, but it looked like Vettel got a P7, good enough time, a 16.3, again on soft tyres. Boomji is doing similarly, soft tyre run in the Alpine. Will he get out of trouble? Comes to cross the line then. Currently P18 up to P10. I think we're going to be in for a bit of action now. On a lap with 2.5 minutes to go is Isu for ADRT. Currently at the bottom of the standings, won't start higher than 19th with Rampage out. Some cheering from Harley for Russell, and Russell got his way out of the bottom with a pole position time quickly and swiftly beaten by Nathan, who goes on a 15.7, so that's significantly quicker. There'll be a little bit of track evolution going on with all these cars running around now, but a 15.7, the only car in the 15s from Nathan. So this looks to be a bit of a Nathan specialty, this track, as Isu sees a Ferrari helpfully get out of his way in a very convenient spot. So well done to him. But the car's really stacking at the end of the end of the lap here, ready for their final runs. Isu up to P9. That puts Larkin, Thorpe, Jackson and Sieb in trouble. Let's go and have a look at Jackson. Was he one of those Ferraris at the end of the lap? Yes, he was. He's using a tow here from a teammate to get down and get a boost through the final part of the track and into the first run. So 15.7 to a 16.9 is our field range. 1.2 seconds around a long lap of Catalunya is tremendous work from the drivers. So it really is anybody's guess who will be eliminated in Q1. Nathan from Russell, Hey Rogers, Sparks, Michael, Leroy, and wow, Jackson almost took the left side of the car off, running close to that back marker. That's your order at the moment, but currently in danger, Larkin, Thorpe, Jackson, Sieb, who we ride with. Jackson right now. Freeland's here cheering on NLR. I fancy a lot of our NLR drivers are here to enjoy the race. Who's got the most support? That's drop a note now as to which team you're here for, and let me know who's the most supported team today. So Jackson on his way through to cross the line, and it's a 16.4 up to P15, but immediately deposed by another driver. So Jackson's still in the danger area. He can run this lap if he's got tyres left, but he's on hiding to nothing, I fancy. Just ahead of him on track is Killer Blue, but Felix won. Oh, we lose Isu from the session. He won't go any faster than that 12th place time. Felix won. No improvement. So it's the final laps for the drivers now. What about Assassin? We won't see Isu go any quicker than 12th. Assassin for Relentless. Can he get himself up near his teammate in the grid and help him out? Strategically, Assassin is on the bubble. For the line then, he's not anymore. P11, beautiful from Assassin. Excellent stuff. Then we've lost Boonyi, Jackson. It's all about Felix 1 and Killer Blue. If they can get out, we'll follow Killer Blue. He's just over his sector time. So 900ths of a second is his gap right now. Dexter's here for ERT. Nell Boy's here for DTR, as Killer Blue gets up to 16th but cannot do any better. Felix 1 has invalidated, so I think we have got our first eliminations. Unfortunately, everybody else into the pit, so the eliminated drivers will be Killer Blue, Boomyi, Jackson, Felix 1 and Rampage. But the fastest times were Nathan, Thomas, Russell, and Hey Rogers in that Q1 session, and that really got tense towards the end. Beautiful stuff. And as a fellow Brit, I have to say I'm loving the 6 British drivers in the top 8. Nice work from the guys. Nathan, Thomas, Russell, Rogers, Thorpe, Sparks, Michael, Larkin, Leroy and Sieb for IRT finally in the top 10, followed by the Germans of Vettel and Assassin, then Jay-Z, Isu, despite that accident, will take part in Q3, in Q2, and Shaby was right on the bubble with the Williams team. Look at the gap between Shaby and Killer Blue, who went out, but sadly, starting at the back with free choice of tyres is the only real consolation for them is Killer Blue, Boomjeet, Jackson, Felix 1 and Rampage, and unfortunately that's one of our host team NLR's early exit from qualifying, as they were in the last race as well. So Q1 not favouring our hosts particularly right now. So yeah, Dexter for ERT is here for Thomas and Hey Rogers. Sparks not happy with his lap. We're good to get going immediately, I guess, on our Q2 time now. Of course, this will set the starting set of tyres. So ideally, the drivers will set their time on a single run or a very early invalidated double run, I guess. So who will be out first today? Will it be Sparks again? Yes, it will. He's always quick with the turnaround and setup, fuel choices, tyre set choices, and everything. Because if you can save a clean set of softs for the race, you'll be in a good position. So, who will be out of this session, I wonder? At the moment, Sparks and Russell, the only representatives of their time. So is Larkin for Excel. Bright sunshine again for this session, but we're reliably informed that we will have some rain in the race, which, as I say, Sparks was not particularly pleased about. Now, is he just lulling us into a false sense of security, or is he genuinely struggle in the rain? That we'll have to wait and see on that one. Comments list is here to say up Relentless. Well, good to have you. That's a very unideal start to the lap for Sparks. He's going to have to go around again, unfortunately. So it looks like we'll be joining a different car for his run. Let's ride with Isu, who goes for a tow off the back of Sparks. Interesting to see Sparks not blending out the throttle. He wants to keep this. He's actually blocking Isu a little bit here. Sparks has got better pace, but I feel like Isu had a difficult moment going through the first 2 corners following on, because Sparks isn't going to do a great time with that start to the lap. Interesting stuff. Jav's here for Relentless as well. Plague Doctor says he struggles, does he? Well, I don't know. Winky face, maybe. He knows something we don't about Sparks. But all I saw was Sparks upset in the Discord when he gave me the weather forecast. Oh, a big wiggle of oversteer for Isu on this lap. In fact, he's bailed out already. Doesn't like that one. So can I find a driver who will finish a lap, I wonder? Assassin is on an out lap. We've got, this is Isu again. Where's his teammate? Thopy is actually on a time. That's great. So he will just have it. The track looks to be in a slightly different condition. Too many drivers struggling on this run. And wow, Sparks, yeah, 15.9 after that start to the lap. Wow, that's quite special from Sparks to get sub 16 despite that terrible start to the lap. Thopy 17.3 on mediums. Isu kind of blended out of the throttle quite significantly on that lap. I think Assassin is on his lap. I think Nathan has just finished a sort of slow lap. Russell goes P2 for NLR. Don't know why he's got MRL as his name. That's not very helpful, Russell. Can you change that for me, please? But going in with the first laps, Leroy has got a 16.2 as we get close at the front of the grid again. So interesting moves for drivers to go out on the mediums again. It looked like they were struggling for grip out there. Lots of love for Sparks with that time after his start to the lap. Kind of wish I'd stayed with him, but didn't look like he was going to be able to do anything. Assassin going through his banker here. Of course, less time for the drivers to get their laps in Q2 than we had in Q1. So added a little bit of added pressure. Assassin for the line gets a 17.1. We've seen much better times than that though. I don't know if anyone is actually going to start on the mediums or go through this session. Thomas has invalidated. Larkin, a 34.2 is his out lap. Shaby, is he on a lap? He was, but no longer, unfortunately. Michael, let's see if Michael's circulating. He's in sector 1 at the moment. We'll see some laps come round as drivers bail into the pits. Got a Red Bull going through to start his second lap. That was Thomas just beginning. I'm not sure on the strategy of starting on 2+ old laps on your medium tyres. Let me know your strategy picks in the chat. Michael through turn 9 safely. It's a bit of a hold your breath moment, especially when the cars are heavy with fuel. Just making sure that you get through there without unseating the car too much. Apex curb and you are turned around. Sparks up there. So after the first runs, we'll go through the order, but currently Michael now heading to turn 16 in New Holland, and for the line a 16.3. That will be a good banker lap for him to run. What's Thomas up to? Lots of support for him today, especially in this white Red Bull livery car. Coming to finish out the lap now. So Thomas on medium tyres again. And towards the line now then for Thomas. Where does this go? P9, medium tyres, not as quick as his teammate. So that's an interesting one, I guess. We've got several drivers just touring at the moment. Do let us know what you're predicting for the next 5 drivers to be lost from the session. At the moment we've got Vettel. He's just again on his way into the pits, similar to Hay Rogers, I think. We've got 7.5 minutes to go. Everyone's put in a time apart from Shaby. So after the first runs, it's Sparks and Sieb, Larkin for Excel, then NRL's Russell, CPI's Jay-Z. We've got ARC's Leroy, then DTR's Michael. We've got the 2 Elite Racing Team ERT cars of Hay Rogers and Thomas in 8th and 9th, so somewhat together. Then we've got Vettel, Assassin, Thopye, Isu, both for ADRT. I think Nathan's out there looking for a lap, so he's found a gap in the traffic. He's gone back out on medium tyres, so we'll have to remember his time is stuck there. Shaby yet to put in a lap, obviously managed to invalidate his previous attempt, I think. Nathan downshift into turn 9, just stabilising the car nicely and heading then down to the braking zone of 10. Away from the apex, but is the minimum speed good enough? Is that a symptom of the medium tyres just not allowing him to brake so late? through the apexes nicely. Takes a large amount of apex on the penultimate corner. Turn 15. Nathan then for the line up to P5. A great medium time, a 16.1. That's quite special. So if he can clear the stay in the top 10 on that time, and the chance is pretty strong, he is in a great position for the race, with everybody else setting their first times on their soft tyres. So Thopyi is a quarter of a second faster than he's been before. He needs to be a little bit more than that to escape the clutches of the bottom 5. So we'll ride with him as he's on a lap right now. Thopyi, a lot of reaction to that medium time. That was pretty special, I think. So Thopyi, not an amazing Q1. Hopefully he can maximise this, really extending the track on the run to turn 13, right on the outside of the curb, just keeping that inside tyre on the white line. So for the line then, Thopyi a 16.1, good enough for P6, very handy time indeed. Nathan's on his way into the pits, and I think it'll be Thomas who is next out there to attack the lap. Thomas choosing soft tyres, as most drivers have. Remember, there will be points for Q3 for the teams, so a lot to battle for. Sparks on a 15.9. We've seen a faster time than that in Q1. NLR's Kavudi confused by how Thopyi didn't get himself an invalidation for riding that entry, I think, to 13 that I was mentioning. Taking it right to the edge of the track, as is Thomas. Oh, that was really slow through 9. Sorry, through 4. It would be slow through 9. It was about right through 4. So up the hill then, get the car into the apex curb, help the car round. Now it's turn 9. And that felt flat and ropey and ragged, but he kept it together, and he's 0.3 faster than he's been before, which will get him up into the mix. Might be good enough to stay in the top 10. Difficult to say. Isu getting out of the way for ADRT. So this is ERT's Thomas closing out his second attempt. Tries to straight line the final chicane. And away to the line. It's Thomas. Nothing major, no major improvement. That's a 1:16.4 is his best time, and he's right on the bubble. So it's not working for him right now. Isu starting his lap, and the final run drivers start coming out now. And we'll try and stick with the drivers we won't see at the end of the session, maybe. 0.2 of an improvement for Isu. He needs a huge improvement. I'm sure that 25.8 involved something wrong in the second or third sector of the lap then. I appreciate your the compliments. That's very kind of you all. Please follow me on Twitter if you want to see my other races. Usually do 6 or 7 a week. At the moment, barely touching my racing rig myself. So Isu 3.9 better than he's been before, and that's a lot more like it. So he needs to close this one out. I don't know if he'll manage to get round and back out for another attempt. This could be the final clear of traffic run for Isu, for ADRT. ADRT second in the championship right now, so pressure's on to keep it up, and that will do pretty nicely. A 16.1. I think a 16.1 will be safe for this session. Let me know your predictions. What do you think it's going to take to stay out of the danger mark? We've got have we got Williams drivers together for DTR on track, or are those the Alpines? Difficult to tell. Vettel at 17.1. So Vettel will cross the second timing line. A new pole for Shaby. Goes 15.8, so very nice indeed. Vettel is up on his time. I was a bit distracted looking at the fastest time and missed Shaby's sector improvement, but I saw it as positive. Sorry, Vettel's improvement. Across the final chicane, we've got double wave yellows. I think that's just cars getting out of each other's way. Difficult sector for traffic as Vettel goes P6 for the CPI team. Vettel up there P6. Sieb is out of the session, so Sieb for IRT is in third place currently. XL Larkin for the XL team. Larkin on a 15.6, dropping drivers down slowly as Leroy goes a P2. Lots of drivers in the 15s now. We've got Nathan just, I think, finishing a lap, have we? Or is he just starting? He's just starting a lap. And we'll keep an eye on the Relentless cars, who are both, I think, in danger. Sparks out of the session dramatically. Not what you expect to see from Sparks at this stage, unless he's just decided, I think he might have actually decided to quit out in the pits, so he knows he's not going to get round. What about Nathan? He's just over his time here. Needs to defend. His 10th is safe, but it's really not very safe, is it? With the rest of the cars on hot on his heels. Ahead of him on track, we've got one of the pitting, I think the two cars who just went at the top two, so hopefully they won't get in his way because they're coming into the pits rather than starting their next lap. Nathan will get an idea of his next time. Slight distraction, you can see, and the turning point is 1/10 faster, or 1/10 will buy him 3 or 4 places in this session, so it could be enough if you can hold on through here. So into the very final complex on the track, just avoiding the first yellow curb, monstering the second yellow curb, and Nathan then for the line, uncharacteristically in 10th, goes straight up to P2. Wow, on a soft tyre run, a 2-lap old soft tyre run. That could be important later. That really could be interesting later on. Isu is in 12th right now. I don't think is going to go a lot faster. Thopye goes P2, and we get a 15.9. It might even be that the 16.1 time is the troublesome time for the drivers. If you're not in the 15s, I don't think you're safe. Sieb in 9th is a 16.0. Assassin is a 16.0. Wow. So those drivers put in 16 times and still eliminated. We've got quite controversially, I guess, quite unexpectedly, certainly, Assassin for Relentless out of the session. Russell's out of the session. That makes both NLR cars, our hosts, at the eliminated before Q3. Russell in 11th, Vettel in 12th, Isu in 13th, CPI's Jay-Z is in 14th, and one of the ERT drivers out as well. Thomas, very big surprise to see Thomas out of this session, but Delta T are happy because they got both drivers through. Fantastic stuff. So I think that's a little bit of a surprise for the form book, really. There to see those drivers knocked out, to see Sparks down in 6th. I mean, he decided he wasn't going any faster, but wow, that was pretty close. 2/10 kept him in. So Larkin and Thopye, Nathan, Leroy, Shaby, Sparks, Michael, Rogers, Sieb and Assassin make it through to Q3, but unfortunately, starting in the best position in the midfield, Russell in for NLR, then Vettel, Isu, JC and Thomas, who I expect to make up some places through the race, will be eliminated from this Q2 session. We go into Q3 now, and this is where the points are awarded. 15th for pole position, and down to 1 point for 10th, with obviously intervals in between. But this is where we start getting points for our championship. Very, very close grid, as Spark says. Kind of a GG from Harley, which I imagine is being given through his teeth, through clenched teeth. perhaps not super impressed with his team being eliminated, but Russell will start 11th, and that's obviously very good for him. Interesting. Sparks just came out of the pits and went back out again. Here we go. Sparks on his way out. As usual, first out. Yeah. Plague Doctor for Evora is here for Sparks, of course, and Sparks has plenty of fans, especially after winning the first race of the championship. I wonder if Sparks will be taking part in all the races. It'd be interesting, wouldn't it, if the teams after a win had to bench a driver, or maybe the worst performing driver of each team had to be replaced, so sort of winner stays on. Be an interesting tactic, perhaps. Sparks just treating these soft tyres gently because he wants them to last an entire lap, of course. He's not treating that bollard gently, is he? Doesn't like that bollard. Wants it out of his eye line as he goes through turn 10 at speed. So he chooses to leave the turn 12 bollard in place. So Sparks just getting the best possible launch out of the final corner. Away we go. Yes, Plague Doctor just reminds me that Sparks was demoted after a penalty, but he did win the race on the track, I believe. Sparks struggling a little bit with connection here right now, so it's a slightly uncomfortable watch for us. But we'll see how the car is performing. Yeah, hopping all over the place. Hopefully the clock will read correctly for us for Sparks. This could be a bid for pole. Oh dear, that's difficult, isn't it? Sparks heading through the lap. We'll just stay with him to see the times. Big lift through turn 9. He's a little bit unsure about the track conditions. 50.0 second sector for Sparks. Not troubled by that bollard. Through the final chicane then, and good line, comfortable start, takes the middle of the track to the line of 15.9. Of course, we've seen faster times, but a great banker lap for Sparks. Out there we've got Thopy gets at 16.5. Behind him I think Leroy is about to get a 16.2 in P2. Nice time from him. We've got slow laps right now from the Mercedes. It said out lap. Okay, Nathan, a 15.5 is exceedingly good. A 15.5 might well be good enough to keep pole position, but a 15.5 is the current best on the track, as Rogers for ELT goes P2 on a 15.7. So the time's really coming down. The drivers have been waiting and keeping their powders dry, I feel. Obviously the track is evolving, but a 15.9 for Sieb for the IRT team now. What about Michael? He's not going to set a lap this time out. Leroy's already set his time, so let's ride with Assassin. No, let's ride with Larkin because he's the first on the road setting a time. Larkin out there for the XL team, of course. Sparks saying he set the exact same time as Q2, sorry, and it's not as good, but obviously pushing right on the edge of his pace level for the current track conditions. Still got bright sunshine for this session, but Sparks seemingly a little worried about the wet conditions. Maybe not. Difficult to say at this point. Larkin wasn't happy with that one at all, so it comes into the pits, unfortunately, as Shaby goes a 16.3 in P7. Not perfect. Sparks is making his way into the pits. We've just got 6.5 minutes of the session left to go. Assassin, having just set his time there, will have used his soft tyres to the very best and won't have much left out of them now. Gets out of the way of the Williams gets out of his way, just fearing that he might be on a fast lap, but he's not. No sign of rain just yet, so I wonder if we will have a dry start to the race or it will be a fully wet race. Definitely going to be one to keep an eye on. It's going to be very interesting to see the drivers tackle this track in the wet. I think Assassin will be on his way into the pits, but we might as well watch a car running on track while everybody else is in the pits. Who's going to come out next, I wonder? Shaby on his way in as well. 5 minutes to go. Who blinks first? Track evolution will be a big deal. So the current order then is Nathan for Relentless, followed by ERT's Hey Rogers, Sparks for the Evora Gaming team in third, with Seeb for IRT in fourth. Then Relentless is Assassin. Great Q1 so far for Relentless. A great overall qualifying for Relentless, frankly. Then for the ARC team, who have yet to score any points, is Leroy. So guaranteed to get off the bottom of the championship in this one, as is, I think, our DTR Esports team, who will get at least 1 point out of Q3. We've got Thopyi, Michael and Larkin at the foot of the field, but Michael and Larkin have not set a time just yet. A 15.5 is special. Plague Doctor pretty happy with that. Make sure, while we wait for the cars to come out, make sure please that you've liked the video today and subscribed to the NLR YouTube channel. Go and do that before the cars come out, and then I won't have to remind you again. We're going to try and beat last race's viewing and liking records if at all possible. Of course, it all helps and it shows your appreciation. Tell us a story. I don't know. Ask me a question. Probably haven't got time for a story. Here comes Michael on his way out. Michael for DTR, and as I said before, DTR and ARC yet to score in our championship, but that will definitely be fixed out of Q1. They'll get at least 1 point for coming 10th. I think 2 for 9th maybe. In fact, why don't I tell you the point system? So 15, 12, 10, 8, and then 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for quali. And then for race, normal F1 World Championship points, 25 for a win, 18, 15, 12, 10, 8, 6, 4, 2, and 1 in the order. So Michael with just over 2.5 minutes to go. Sparks is the next one out of the out on his lap. I think we've also now got Seeb after him, Leroy after him, and then everybody all together, making my life extra specially difficult, trying to follow all these drivers in one go. So we'll follow Michael, but I do want to cut back to Sparks and see what he's up to. So we'll see Michael across his first sector. Michael 21.6. What about Sparks? How's he navigating the first few corners? He's got a Red Bull behind him, who's just come out of the pits. I think that won't trouble him at all. Sparks up on his time. He's at 15.9 and he's got 4 tenths to get this pole position. So He's done a quarter of the job in a third of the lap so far. The first sector is pretty short. A lot of time won and lost through these corners. Just stretching the track limits to his absolute max. Can he hold it? No, Sparks out of the lap time. Unfortunately, will not go any faster, and that's a big shock for me. That's a pretty big deal to see him out of the session. Won't compete, won't be better than third. And I think that the other drivers will be challenging that. Certainly Sieb is right on his, hot on his heels. Sieb is slightly over 2.5 hundredths of a second slower than he's been before. There is often a sweet spot in Q3, which is the first runs, and sometimes the track cools when cars are not running on it, and sometimes you'll find that actually the best runs are the banker runs. So Jav says he'll have time for another lap. Sparks, well, he'll be lucky. Frankly, he'll get round and he'll try, but his tyres won't be at their best by any stretch. Now, Sieb's had a good middle sector and it's quicker. Is it quicker enough? He's about half the distance he needs to try and leapfrog Sparks here. Sieb across the chicane. Oh, absolute nothing sector of the lap. Super frustrating, very Monaco-like, as they often talk up in the real-life coverage. He's not quicker. Struggled through that final sector. What about Larkin? Where does he go? P2 for Larkin, deposing Sparks and Rogers. Larkin a 15.7, Leroy a 15.7, and up to P3. Sparks tumbling down the order as we speak. Shaby a 15.923, that's faster still. What about Assassin? I didn't get to him in time, but Assassin a 15.8, and these are the final times now. These are the final times coming in. What's Nathan up to? Is he pushing? I imagine he is. We'll have a look at Sparks though, because he's about finishing up his lap. He's nowhere. Sparks running all over the track to get out of other people's way. Very sporting of him. But Nathan is under his pole time currently. No one's near him on in terms of lap times. He's 2 tenths faster than anybody. Nathan, this one is just for bragging rights. Characteristic straight lining that almost completely over the final yellow curb in turn 14, and it's even faster, a 3.94 for Nathan. Amazing stuff. Tremendous work from Nathan. Shaby's going no faster. Sieb's in the pits. I think Leroy and Larkin might be trying, but let's see what Leroy's got. I feel like he's likely to be headed to the pits. Yes, he is. I don't think anybody's going to beat that one. Shaby's already committed to finishing the lap out. We lost Sparks and Sieb. They've retired from the session. They can't beat it. An incredible lap from Nathan. Absolutely incredible with that final run through the last chicane. I can't believe it. Plague Doctor amazed by how he got away with it. But yeah, can't really argue with it. That's the game's rules. Beautiful stuff. A 15.394. Anybody in the know or with access to a game session can tell me how close that is to the top of the time trial leaderboards for these drivers. But it's Nathan who gets pole for Relentless. XL second, with ARC right up there, right in the hunt, in the podium positions on the grid. Winning points already at this stage of the race. Then Rogers for ERT. Relentless with first and fifth positions, Nathan and Assassin. Then Thopye, Shaby, Sparks, Sieb, and Michael will start in P10 on soft tyres, vulnerable to those behind him. But Nathan it is, of course, as I said, for Relentless with pole. XL4 in second place. Leroy, Rogers, Thopye, Shaby, Sparks, Sieb, and Michael in 10th. Let me know your what you're spotting. Immortal says 1,000 between P2 and P3. Absolutely incredible gap. And let me know your predictions for the race, number of penalties, top team result, winner overall, and everything that we'll see. How many safety cars, if any? I'll be right back with you. You're back with Webbo, and we're about to get underway. I see not everybody has liked the video yet, so I'm going to have to go ahead and remind you again. Please like the video. Are you not entertained? Surely you must be entertained by that pole lap from Nathan, and entertained by the idea of what we've got coming ahead of us. We've got a dry start to the race, so that's fantastic. I love a little bit of changeable conditions, don't you? Possible sort of 2-lap, 5-minute kind of mark, people are saying, for the start of the race. And yeah, absolutely mouth-watering, the idea of watching these drivers, particularly drivers. We've not seen anything from Rampage. Of course, we don't know what kind of start he's got. He's the only driver starting on mediums, so really interesting strategically. But of course, if the rain does take longer to come than Jeff has predicted, and often it takes shorter to come than Jeff predicts, then Rampage might be in a better position. I'm looking forward though to seeing Thomas potentially come through the field, see what Sparks has got before the rain comes. What kind of start are we going to get out of these guys? Of course, points down to 10th, so the teams will be begging their drivers to make sure they finish the race, keep it clean through the first race, the first few laps, of course, and get to the stage where drivers will start to get eliminated because of the conditions. I haven't seen any predictions going on for conditions, but we've got 5 lights, and it's lights out. Wait, go for the NLR team event here at round 2 for Catalunya. Rampage out of the session immediately, speared across the track. That might be a glitch, that might be a disco, but away from the line, the Ferrari up well. ERT just a little bit on the defensive with Leroy up to P3. We've got a VSC immediately, so that helps us just see where the drivers have come relative to each other. Sparks with an amazing launch, P3 already before that work. He's got it all to do though for the team, because they've lost 1 driver already from the race. We've got Assassin down 3 for Relentless, so not looking great right now for them. Certainly not as good as in qualifying. And then everybody else roughly where they started. Siebes down 3, but Rampage, our only medium tyre, just bang straight out of the race. Unfortunately, that is a glitch I've seen before. So Plague Doctor saying potentially rain lap 11. That could have fed into the hands of Rampage. Maybe he had the better idea. And we go green flag again. And it's an absolute melee into turn 10. What an awful place for the race to restart, as Larkin gets it wrong on the defensive. Larkin spinning out of the race and tumbling down the order. I'm trying to find him as he gets touched on the way through turn 10 and 11, and that was it. Out of the competition for the top 10, and he's down there right at the foot of the field with his teammate now, and Excel with it all to do after a stellar qualifying. But it's Nathan leads away, gapping the field already. We've got Sparks on the attack, coming up the inside of Leroy. Will he make it work? He can get the outside line here. Leroy with great speed mid-corner through turn 2 and bosses it, and straight through turn 4. Sparks again defending now, I imagine, from behind. But beautiful restart really for the front runners. I don't quite see how that VSC restart was at all fair. The cars had absolutely condensed together, and yeah, real problem for everybody. But we have a race on our hands. We have lap 2. Nathan Rogers, Leroy, Sparks, Thoppy, Shaby, Assassin back up to P7 after dropping down to 8th. So he's obviously managed to make a move. We've got I think Isu making a move on Vettel into 10. Again, they touch. There's going to be trouble going on there. We see Vettel making it through. Isu got, I think, turned round, or at least heavily compromised, and lost 2 places. So Vettel robust in his defence despite the touches. It's very sad to see Rampage out. It's just one of those things. It happens. We've got the first penalty awarded to Sieb already. 3-second penalty for track limits. That's quite an achievement in 3 laps. But leading at the front still Nathan outside of DRS zone. I think we will get some DRS laps by the look of things. So eyes towards the back straight shortly. The closest cars on the field at the moment is this battle for 7th, led by Assassin, Michael in the middle, and we ride with Russell in the NLR Aston Martin. Felix 1 up to 16th, hasn't made a major move just yet. Here comes the rain, boys. Here comes the rain. I can see it on the camera already. So what do our leaders do at this stage? Because the track will not be wet enough right now, but Nathan has managed to get a 1.3 second lead, and the rain seems to be falling quite heavily for the beginnings of this. Does anybody lower down in the field take the opportunity to pit early? Not so from Nathan, Rogers and Leroy. Sparks stays out. The majority of our drivers staying out, as you would expect, I think, at this stage of the race. But it's Russell watching Michael, challenging Assassin ahead. Assassin very slow down the main straight. May have missed a gear potentially. That was a big problem. I think the DRS has still been working for the drivers, so unusual to see that. Shaby trying to go around the outside of Thopye. Or is it actually Thopye going round? But Thopye going wide with the loss of traction, loss of grip. And you can see the rain has come down heavily. You can see it already on the track, pooling. You can see the drivers starting to slow down. The rain lights are on. The DRS is off. And Sparks liking it at the moment. Still struggling with this connection. So we're not going to be able to watch Sparks for very long. But he's on the attack. He'd love to get past the Ferrari before the pit stop. DRS is still working. It's not been declared a fully wet race yet, you can see. Down into turn. There it is. There it is. Can we get telemetry? I'm not sure whether Harley is in approval of telemetry. I think not. But Harley, let me know what you want in terms of OSD. If you're happy with telemetry, I'm happy to put it on. But it will obviously only be for the driver we happen to be watching. Who comes in? Leroy in the pits. I didn't see whether Nathan did, but yeah, everybody, absolutely everybody piling into the pits right now. The driver's just losing out and regaining, but it'll be the cars closest together in terms of teammates that will have the biggest problem. I think we may have a lot of spread out teams at the moment. We've got Alfa Romeo, yeah, they're stacking, look, CPI having to stack here, and that's going to cost them quite heavily. I think everybody else is fairly well spread out. It's obviously catching other drivers in rival nearby teams out as well, because they have to be stopped to rejoin. But we're back. It's now Inters running on lap 5. Nathan staying ahead of Rogers, followed by Leroy. We'll see how all the rest of the cars factor in. I think lots of people want it. Everyone's obviously gone for intermediates. I mean, that's just the way it is. We don't prefer our OSD with this, but I can see how it's helpful for teammates. Of course, Rogers, a 3-second penalty. That's pretty important for the podium. He's got a 2.3 second gap. Obviously, a lot of the race to run yet, but on lap 5, now that the rain has come, it's Nathan has extended his lead over Rogers and Leroy, so they're dropping back right now. We've got Sparks out there, 2/3 of a second behind Isu on those Inters. So do we believe that Sparks struggles in the wet? Seemed a bit loose through that corner. Lots of gains up and down the grid. Just spotting there that Russell's gone up 6, Isu up 7. Sparks catching, but not able to live with. Isu's made a mistake into turn 1. That's absolutely going to open things up for Sparks. Can he hold the car? He takes a narrower line, expecting the car to wash out in 4. He's got the outside line now. Will there be a switch back towards turn 5? Not quite, but Sparks absolutely on the gearbox of Isu's car. You expect Sparks to get by, but this is a real section of the track. It's very, very difficult to make a move. We've got other cars very close behind that group as well. Larkin up in P8, and he's had quite an adventurous time on the grid. He's obviously gained hugely through the round of pit stops there, because he was well behind. Sparks trying to move around on track. His internet is appalling though. You can just see the car moving around all the time. I'll watch with Isu because it's slightly less vomit inducing. But yeah, a lot of people got stopped. We keeping the rules consistent, and rather than the esports pit release, because that's how we started the championship, I believe. But yeah, that's clearly up to Harley and the NR admin guys as to what we do, whether we change that. Sparks now 2/10 behind Isu, so we'll see him make a move, I'm sure. Goes for the inside line. Now they're going to have to be so careful with this glitching. He's going to have a big wide margin if he tries to make a move. Tries to get underneath the car. They're going to touch. Wow, Sparks just lifted off enough to get through there. It looked like he'd put his nose where it didn't really belong. And this is super tight now. The battle for 6th place. Sparks running around the outside, trying to take the inside. This is a really difficult one to watch with Sparks. He gets the inside line as the Alpha Tauri gets it all wrong, but a faster line through. Sparks spins off, spears across the track. Thankfully nobody else out, but Sparks looked like he was behind when he made contact with Isu, or Isu made contact with him, and Sparks, the favourite, potentially one of the championship favourites at least, out of the race, and we will have a safety car, so there won't be any passing at this stage. And Nathan probably shaking his head in the helmet, in the cockpit of the car there, because he had a 3.7 lead, and it's now nullified as the drivers come through. So we have lost 2 cars, and both of them are our championship leading Evora Gaming. Amazing stuff. So opening up the championship battle, no end. That's brilliant stuff. Just got that in as you mentioned it, Jav, in the chat. Yeah. Who's the Haas team? It is our championship leading Evora Gaming group. Unfortunately, they are out of the race completely now, so a big reset needed. Some pit stops going on, interestingly. Very interesting to see some stops already. Is that just for some new inters again? It looks like it. So Isu going for new inters. They'll be good on the restart, but the difference is not really like a soft to a medium difference. Immortal says his view on it was a squeeze to the grass. Well, respectfully, I'll definitely bow to anyone who's got footage or a replay, but from my cockpit, my broadcast position looked to be that Sparks was behind the AlphaTauri. It may be that Isu had to pit for some potential damage, but my initial reading from a single view of it was that Sparks didn't really belong there. On the way into turn 7, he was behind, but so I'm happy to be proven wrong if footage shows us next time. Of course, we only get the one look. Yeah, Carmental is saying maybe he didn't know he was there because of the connection issue. That's also a strong likelihood. Of course, feel free while we're on the safety car to go back to the relevant section on the stream and let me know. Nathan is hassling Bernd Mailander to go faster, but I don't think he'll respond to that very well. He's about to run into him. Nathan, you don't want to lose the race by having an issue with Bernd here, because he makes the rules, unfortunately. ARC says the only thing squeezing was Sparks' Wi-Fi bandwidth. nice comment. We've got Boomyi and Sieb for IRT way back in the field, and if Boomyi doesn't catch up the field, we're going to have another safety car lap here. So Relentless 1st and 14th, then ERT up to 2nd and 8th. So a strong haul of points. We've got the ARC team in 3rd and 16th. Then we've got Shaby for Alpine. Is it? Forgive me. It's these blues. I can't tell the difference in the blues. No, Shaby's there for DTR. DTR are in 4th and 13th. Michael there. NRL, Russell and Felix in 5th and 11th for NLR. So much better than the race start, the qualifying positions anyway. XL are 6th and 10th. We've got CPI with Vettel in 7th and Jay-Z in 12th. And ADRT, Thopyi and Isu back there. Yeah, I think we're gonna have another safety car lap, unfortunately, because of that gap to the tail of the field for Boomyi. Nobody else deciding to pit. Jackson has gone onto wet tyres, so he's interested here in making that move. Tomo just hit the grass there slightly with his intermediate tyres and weaving, just dodging out of the way of Vettel's moves. Drivers need to leave a good gap behind the safety car because glitching is very, very likely and penalties can result. Some more wet tyres going on, I think, for drivers. Jackson decided against them. Felix decided for them. Very interesting situation there. One Hubber here to support ERT. Of course, we know they work together a lot. So ERT with lots of supporters. So ARC's Jackson was just testing the wets, convinced now that it's not time for them. But of course Felix may have been duped into trying them himself, or just convinced himself that it's the right choice. Who can say at this stage? Just track extending penalties so far. We haven't had an accident under the safety car, which long may that continue, because I hate to see them. It's such a shame when it ruins drivers' races. But of course Nathan will take the restart at the end of this lap, and he'll get to decide when to go. Of course, the sooner he goes, the better for the field and the better for the chances of a clean restart, but it's worse for his chances, so he may decide to hold the cars up. I just hope that we don't get any further accidents or eliminations. We've got 18 runners left. It's lap 10, but a very, very wet looking track at this stage of the race. When does he elect to go? Interesting to watch Felix's progress. Nathan appears to have hit the throttle. Has he? Yes, he has indeed gone. It's difficult to tell through that final chicane, but he's away, and hopefully the rest of our field will get away cleanly. It looks like Shaby has got Russell right behind him. Russell on the attack now and getting ahead into turn 1. Here he comes. Russell cleanly ahead through turn 1. Nice move from Russell. Obviously got those inters, got some confidence on those inters, but I do expect we'll see some drama from some cars as they go through here. Michael and Vettel have gone for wets. They think it's the right choice as well. Very interesting. So it's not a team instruction. Harley from NLR saying not sure about Felix's decision, but time will tell. Russell making the most of it. Thopyi is getting by Killer Blue, or at least they're level. And then we've seen an accident here already, boys. Come on. No shortage of bravery into 7, but maybe some slightly late braking for Thopyi as Killer Blue does a switch back and gets the job done and keeps that place. Now Thopyi on the defensive on the way into 10. It looks like Larkin and Shaby. Shaby really struggling here because he lost a place to Russell. Now he's looking vulnerable. Russell getting away. He's gapped him already, and Larkin on the attack. Drivers just look so slow in this final sector, but there's no caution. It's just purely the lack of grip. So we've got a pit stop here. Is that Russell? Russell's coming to the pits after making that great move. He's not happy on those tyres. I think that might be another set of wets. Yes, it is for Russell. He goes down the order. So still your closest battle right now is we've got Killer Blue and we've got Larkin. The McLarens making the most of these wet conditions. I wonder if they coordinated their setup choices for a slightly damp proceedings in qualifying. Did they make that guess? And now they're moving up the field because they had an awful qualifying and they're currently riding 4th and 6th. So really something very, very special from these guys. Larkin ahead is looking likely on the back of Shaby, and Killer Blue looking good on the back of ERT's Toma. Toma's made up loads of places at this stage, but really while the tyre game is such a lottery, I'm not sure it's worth looking at places gained. Larkin unable to make a move. Look at the tiptoeing around this final sector. I think the Inter drivers will be coming in for wets by the look of the way they're driving. They're so slow through here. Obviously when the downforce is on the car through the fast corners of sectors 1 and 2, there's loads of grip, but as soon as they enter these sections with very little downforce, yeah, the leader, Nathan, Leroy, Shaby, Larkin, all coming in. No, Larkin stays out. He's quite happy. Wow. Does he decide, yeah, Killer Blues come in, so making a decision not to stack the team while he's got some speed, and Larkin inherits the lead then on lap 13, still on intermediate tyres. So is ADRT. The entire team of ADRT have stayed on inters, and so has Relentless's Assassin staying out there. Felix making up bags of places, of course, because he went early on those wet tyres, and looking to potentially go around the outside of Relentless's car. He doesn't want to let him through, but I don't think he's got much of an option. Through turn 9, that was a beautiful round the outside move. Sorry, not turn 9, because they turn right again. It was 4 that Felix got past, but stayed with him. And Assassin tried to hold on but couldn't. Definitely it's wet tyres all the way now that we've seen 2 cars versus each other here. Felix looking very good. Wet tyres are doing a great job for him, and if the rain stays raining this much, it keeps up, then he's on perfect tyres. But if it starts to tail off, then there'll be another pit stop to come. So your previous race leader Nathan now down behind this car in 7th place with it all to do, and a great gamble there for Felix, who managed to hold on, not overheat the wets, and now he's catching Thopye, he's catching all the Inter runners, and Larkin now decides to pit. Of course, will him avoiding the stacking decision. The ADRT team stay out again. They're not looking at the lap times from Felix 1, who's looking amazing. He'll have a great braking grip down here into turn 1. Will he be able to take the outside? He's getting squeezed. There's not really a car width. Come on, boys. Ah, this one looks awful, but he gets there. They stay on track. Very cautious stuff from Felix. There was definitely not racing room left there at all. But Felix gets by Thopye into P2, and now he hunts down Isu, while Nathan, the leader of the rest of the wet runners from Rogers, Russell making it up. And what a great work for NLR here to make up these places. Isu is looking still pretty strong on these Inter tyres, but they will stack if they both come in at the next lap. Isu looking good for this one. What's Nathan doing with Jackson, who stayed out as well? Jackson out there for the ARC team, running wide. Nathan knew that was coming, knew his grip was going to run out on him when they went for the run there. Wow, that was so close between Felix and Thopye. Now he's right on the back of Isu, and does Isu choose now? No, Isu's going to hang on. He's going to try and run these Inters. But wow, I don't know if it's the right decision. He's got a penalty already, of course. Felix will not have straight line speed, against Isu, but he should have grip as they compete. Now Isu hanging out on the middle of the road, as he's got every right to do. Middle of the road is where he wants to be to discourage these moves. There he goes, swing to the inside. Felix puts himself on the outside. This is a risky place to put yourself. We've already seen an ADRT car drive him around. They touch. Squeezed to the outside despite being fully alongside, and Felix holds on, gets rear-ended on the way out of the corner for good measure. And I'm not a huge fan of the driving standards of ADRT over the last few laps. In fairness to them, it's tricky on the inter tyres, and Felix is putting himself in the riskiest position on the outside of the track. But that's rough work for Felix. He's surviving so far, but if he wants to win this race, he's losing ground to Nathan significantly at this stage. There's no way around. He's going to try and go around the long way, but he's done this before. Can he do a cut back as Thorpe comes back into the mix as well? Surely one of the ADRTs will get out of the way, but Nathan's right with him. They've contact. Wheel to wheel work, I think. Is that Isu just trying to hang on? And will it be just as difficult to pass for Nathan? They'll have good downforce, but Nathan now gets the inside line, and I think that's the key against Isu, who brakes late, takes the inside away, runs to the outside. More contact from the ADRT team. They've obviously been given a defend instruction, and he tries to run, but Nathan, too good around the outside. A lot of wheel banging going on between Red Bull teammates. Wow. Rogers gets by, but wow. Yeah, elbows definitely out all over the place from our ADRT AlphaTauri teams. And it looks like we've got Jackson and Thopye dropping back. It's definitely not the time to stay on these inters. The inters are really not working out for the drivers, and wow, what a difficult series of laps for anyone trying to take an AlphaTauri. Felix is up in P1 from 18 places above where he started, but Nathan, who was the leader, who was the pole sitter, is right hot on his heels. Russell for NLR is his next turn to try and get past an ADRT car. Russell, just hang on, because surely they're going to pit now. Surely that's the only decision left after losing places after places. What will he do? He's out again. Astonishing stuff from ADRT. I'm not quite sure what they hope to get out of this race other than just going backwards. Maybe they're expecting the rain to ease. And now Russell on the outside. I'll keep an eye on Nathan, but it's all action anywhere near an AlphaTauri. Too late on the brakes for Isu, and round goes Russell. Hopefully Harley would have been able to tell him that that was coming. But judged it perfectly, just patient enough. But right up at the front, it's Nathan on the back of Felix, who will not want to give up the lead, but will be aware of the fact, cognizant, shall we say, of the fact that he's made up so many places with that strategy gamble. Doesn't want to lose out to Nathan, but if he just lets Nathan by, doesn't fight it too strong, could still get an amazing result out of this one. Depends what frame of mind he's in and how much slower he feels battling is going to be costing him. So Nathan just dropping back slightly. It's difficult in this slow sector to stay with the cars, and that's why it's been awful for overtaking at Catalunya since they put this chicane in. And it was designed to do the opposite. See, he drops down probably 4/10 before they hit the final corner, and that's absolutely going to affect his run down to the first corner. So 55% ERS for Nathan, 70% for Felix. Felix hanging on, and Rogers with a penalty is only 4/10 in front of the other NLR car, and this one is really working out for NLR right now. I think they put wet setups on, but down the inside goes Russell. Beautiful move through turn 3. and up to P3. We've got a safety car. We've lost one of our drivers. It's a CPI car, I think, out near the pit exit for the drivers. It's Jay-Z has gone from the race, and we will stack the cars together. I think Russell just got ahead there in time before the Red Bull and the Aston had to slow down. So it's another safety car, and it was a CPI car. Unfortunately, we've lost. So we have now lost JC, Sparks and Rampage, but still 17 runners in a wet Catalunya as we've gone past halfway point. That's pretty good, isn't it, for the drivers? That's honestly pretty good form. 18 places up for Felix, 8 for Russell. The absolute stars of the race to this point are the NLR Aston Martins, and Russell just comfortably running now. Now, does anybody come in for a new set of tyres, I wonder? We'll ride with the cars as they decide what to do as they come into the pits. Not for Felix, not for Nathan, who dummies towards the pit lane but doesn't go in. Russell really struggling to hang on to the car at these slow speeds. He needs to get some tyre temperature in. That's a Red Bull on the way into the pits. That's Rogers. Leroy stays out, and ADRT's Isu comes in as well, so he will be out of harm's way, I think, for the rest of the drivers as they come through the field. Pit stops for Sieb, for Jackson. Will these be new wets or new inters? Inters going on again, and I wonder if ADRT didn't bring any wet tyres with them, because they've been very shy of using them tonight. Thopye is out of the race. Obviously lost it on the final corner. Thopye out and will take no further part. So that is another ADRT out, another car out of the running. I didn't catch what happened. Anybody who's in contact with Thopye could let us know what's happened. Unfortunately, they are one car down now. What has been going on with Assassin as well? Down so many places through the race. Of course, 11 now in this this run, but I think he's just put tyres on, so it won't be too harsh on him. Yeah, new tyres for the bottom five of the order, with Rogers the surprise of the field there, not only stopping from P4 but stopping for new tyres. Honestly, a little bit surprised by that one, but it could prove to be a perfect decision, as we saw Felix make earlier on. We've got lap 19 under start. It's about to finish, in fact, and Felix, Nathan and Russell are the podium sitters. Then the ARC team, Ferrari, Leroy is in 4th, with Shaby in the Williams for DTR in 5th. Then the McLaren pair for XL in 6th and 7th. We've got some fuel burning going on with the cars, of course, now. Michael in the Williams for DTR in 8th. So Williams doing well here. Red Bull lead driver currently is Thomas for ERT. And then Vettel, the only CPI driver left in the field, with the Alpine of IRT, led by Boomtje, and Seaby's down in 14th on new tyres. So Boomtje will be the last driver on the oldest tyres, on the old wets. I'm not sure how long the wets will last under these conditions, and how they will come back into temperature, but I feel like they will come up to temperature a little bit quicker than the inters potentially. But the inters will get some good bite once they are up to temperature. Thorpe slid into the pit wall, apparently, unfortunately, as did Jackson, but Jackson's managed to stay on track. That's what the ARC boss says. So Thorpe out by hitting the pit wall. Safety car will come in this lap, and we'll go and see how Felix decides to make this one work. Now, I wonder if the NLR team have got some sort of instruction, some sort of communication as to when they will hit the restart. Again, pretty interesting. I'd love to get public team radio going on the coverage. not only for fun, but also to give my voice a rest, give you all something else to listen to for a little while. But public team radio will be awesome, and I wonder if the drivers decide whether to tell their teammate when they're planning to go and give them the opportunity to help, especially in this position. Let's see what Felix decides to do. Nothing too dramatic, please, Felix. He goes now. We're under green flag conditions. He's got a good gap on Nathan. In fact, Russell closing towards Nathan here with quite a rate of knots as they head down towards the first corner. Not close enough to make a move. What about the McLarens? No, they're not going to make a move either. Potentially Vettel looking like the closest driver to another on the track, with Thomas in front also hounding the back of the next Ferrari. No major leap forward for the new tyre runners. Rogers got at one place after that restart for ERT on the new wets, but the Inter runners have dropped back. You can see they're really struggling, yeah, just to get the heat in initially against the other drivers. But it's Isu who's got trying to make a move again, rubbing wheels with another driver. I can't apportion any form of blame there, but we've seen Isu contact another driver on the way into 7 before, and he did again, and it's Boomji going round after contact from Isu, and there'll be some reports against Isu's driving today, I'm fairly certain. But let's go back towards the podium because it's closing up as they enter the final sector. Can Nathan stay with Felix? Can Russell get in the mix and help Felix's job? He's got a little gap on the back of him from the Ferrari of Leroy, and nobody making a huge gap. Maybe Michael falling back a little bit more from the McLaren before, but yeah, I don't know. Looks like Isu squeezing drivers into turn 7 is the meme of the race today. No move up front at this stage. Drivers just probably doing themselves a little bit of favour, just calming down, but the Inter runners definitely dropping back at this stage. I don't think it's the tyre to be on at this point at all. So it's Nathan getting in the mix here, Russell struggling, Larkin and Shaby trading places, hopefully leave a little bit more room between each other than we've seen elsewhere on track tonight. But Larkin up to P5, great move, nice and clean, and it's Nathan now closing in on Felix. Russell needs to get in the mix on this one, he really needs to help. Some question marks on Rogers here about driving. I haven't seen a problem with Rogers at this point. We do know who I have seen an issue with. Nathan and Felix very close to each other through the final sector. Larkin driving incredibly well, and it's absolutely, I do wonder whether people's setups were selected for the rain, because in terms of the NLR cars, the Aston Martin NLRs and the XL McLarens, they've come up hugely from the back of the grid to be where they are right now, and gaining places, so I think hampered their setups for quali, favouring the race conditions, but take nothing away from the drive so far, of course, of Felix and Nathan. Nathan getting grip around the outside, just looking for that extra wet line grip. Oh, gotcha. Okay, feeling, yeah, confusing me a little bit there, but well cleared up. The Inter runners still committing to this run, it seems. They're not doing anything about it. Rogers currently has the fastest lap. I wonder if anyone will try and better that one as we head into the final 10 laps of our second round of the championship. Remember, this is racing for team honour and cash prizes, and it's very important to the drivers and the teams concerned to stamp their authority on this one. Completely different picture at the head of the field than we saw through race 1, so it's definitely going to bring things together. In fact, Relentless and NLR were tied in 7th and 8th position in the championship after round 1. So they're really making it count. Russell's caught a penalty, and that's going to really affect his run to the finish here. Can Nathan and Felix continue through this one and see if they can stay clean through the race in terms of penalties? I wonder if Harley might give us a look at those twos. Race director Nathan launching one down the inside. Felix wasn't exactly ready for it, and they rub wheels. But Nathan with a move. I don't know if it was a good move, but it's a completed move down the inside of the turn 5 hairpin, and job done. And can he gap now Felix? I'd love to see what the warnings are like for Nathan and Felix. I'm sure the race engineers would love to know that as well. 79 and 64, your ERS point, ERS charge positions. And again, just to mention, the inter runners falling further and further back the grid at this point. Definitely a race of two halves at the moment, and they're fairly committed to finishing outside of the points. Felix 8/10 is the gap after half a lap being passed by Nathan. Michael comes into the pits on 12 lap old wets. Now that's an interesting move, because it will drop him into the clutches of the inter runners. Has he decided the track is drying up perhaps? Is this an inspired decision, or is it for yet more wets? You know, it's another set of wets. He'd burned through them, so it's definitely going to be an interesting position here for our guys to see whether they can make wet tyres run this whole stint, or they have to pit again. And is that what the inter runners are working on? The assumption that the wet drivers will have to burn through them and go for another set. Definitely interesting to see. We haven't had any tyre graphics yet, but of course we'll get an idea of the wear rates as they go through. I know inters can often finish a full time. Michael's discoed, but is on his way back. So okay, so the AI chose to pit for him while discoed, unfortunately. Thanks for the info, Brent, in the chat there. So unfortunately the AI made the decision, I think, to pit for Michael, and has taken him down to 14th. However, he may be able to recover some points out of tonight, because he will have better grip than the inter runners. So we'll keep an eye on the gap. Currently 2.6 seconds to Jackson for Michael. Boomyi is in the mix with those runners as well. Larkin doing a bit of a Carlos Sainz run here, overtaking all the way through the race, going to the outside of the Ferrari, holds it together, and that's how we race side by side. Beautiful stuff from both drivers. Leroy cooperating, not forcing him off into the entry of turn 2, and Larkin through on pace in P4 now. We'll be hunting down our NLR drivers, who are just dropping back slightly from Nathan, but take nothing away, as I said before, from the drive from the NLR team so far, who've had an absolute beauty of a race. It's Shaby for Williams and DTR now, looking closest to Leroy. Killer Blue has a penalty, and these penalties are definitely going to be worth looking at as we get further into the race. Let me know if anyone has got tyre usage information. I haven't seen any yet, but how are these wets looking? They're not looking quick through this sector of the race. Traction is difficult on the wet tyres if you've burnt through them. Sieb with a penalty. There's just the front two, and Larkin, who are really in the mix for the big points tonight without penalties. Larkin already effectively has passed Russell, I think, with the penalty situation. Yeah, definitely. But Shaby, Killer Blue, looking close with Thomas as well behind, and that is the key battle for the race right now, is the battle for P5, led by Leroy, Shaby, Killer Blue and Thomas, and Vettel getting in amongst it as well. Exactly what we want to see from the guys here. We've got it's lap 27, Nathan, Felix and Russell up there at the front of the field. Larkin, Leroy, Shaby, Killer Blue, Thomas, Vettel and Rogers in P10, and then outside of the points currently is Isu, Sieb, Jackson, Boomyi, Assassin and Michael. Michael is dropping back from this group. It's the AI, he still hasn't rejoined. I think he did just rejoin, didn't he? I saw a notification on screen. Harley got him back in, but yeah, where are we exactly? We haven't had any live points updates. We'll save them for the end of the race because there's little point actioning it all now, but Harley will start winding up the calculator and get us underway, hopefully to see what we can do in terms of at least race point scores for the teams. Maybe the championship will have to wait until the steward decisions through the week. I feel there might be a few reports if things are still competitive at the end. Larkin looking a little bit like he's definitely catching Russell. Leroy had a good lap against Shaby. Killer Blue now, and I think Vettel and Thomas are side by side down the start-finish straight. Nice move from Vettel. Thomas not able to live with Vettel at this stage. Take a look at these penalties. Amongst the points paying positions, it's only really 3-second penalties to worry about. Sieb's collected a lot, and I feel like I've said that before at races I've commentated on. Lots of track extension penalties for Sieb. Correct me if I'm wrong in the week, Sieb, but that's sort of back of my mind. I've got that idea. XL Larkin is by Felix here, so Larkin has made the move in the middle of the lap before sort of normal overtaking positions, and now Larkin is hunting down Russell, who's already got a penalty. Looks like Felix has actually dropped back. Did he have a moment? I wonder, because Felix was up in P2 a few minutes ago. Felix, is that the sign of tyres starting to go? Is that what we're seeing from Felix? Because it's uncharacteristic to see him off the track, but he must have had a moment to drop back behind these two cars, and they're just giving the game here to Nathan and Relentless for the win. Felix off, yeah, confirmation Felix went off, but podium's still on for Felix here if he can keep it together and not have another issue. Supposing, of course, he didn't get any damage, but look at the close battle for 5th place on the track map, led by Leroy currently. We'll watch Larkin and Felix, who are close to the back of Russell. Look out for any off-track moments, because the tyres will be way past their best. Does that mean that the race will come to the inter runners? I feel like probably not, but let's see. Rogers, first of those newer wet cars. He's got his teammate just ahead of him. I wonder if ERT will give an instruction to Tomat to say you've got to let Rogers by, because he could make up several places here with new tyres. You're holding him up. Depends whether they're aware of that fact. Yeah, in fact, just as we talk about it, Rogers does get let by from Tomat, and he'll be now trying to attack this battle all the way up to 5th. He could end up gaining several places with the additional grip he's got out there. Larkin is looking good. He's got a slipstream on the back of Russell. Will Russell defend to the inside? No, in fact, he decides to trust Larkin not to launch one. Russell keeps that 2nd place currently. Nathan is far and away in a different race tonight. He's way out there, 6.5 seconds. Got 3 complete laps to go. And Nathan leads by 6 seconds to Russell and Larkin, who's just behind him. Then Felix trying to stay within a podium position here, 3/10 back. Russell's got that penalty, so that's certainly interesting for him. Look at Rogers, he's what, 8/10 behind Vettel now, who is also very close behind the car in front, Killer Blue. But this one is the battle for the podium, and we watch right now. Larkin has had a strong race. Not as strong as the NLR pair, but they're trying to make these wet tyres last to the end of the race. The camera is so wet we couldn't see the cars approaching around here. So we expect Russell to drop back behind Larkin and Felix after penalties, but can Leroy stay close enough? I wonder, because Russell needs to put the hammer down here and really get away from Leroy to try and hang on to that podium, that 4th place net that it will be for Russell. A 3rd and a 4th for NLR will be a fantastic result out of this one. I'm sure they're not thinking about that right now. I think they want more, but that's what looks likely at the moment. So it's going to turn the championship on its head. XL, the only team who did well in the round 1, who's still in the hunt for the big points tonight. Rogers still hasn't got past Vettel, so Thomas will be certainly expecting a switch back if he doesn't get by any more cars. Great to see the helicopter shot here. We need Leroy to get held up. Yeah, indeed you do. But Russell, I'm sure, would rather put his fate in his own hands. So yeah, Shaby could do with making a move on Leroy for Russell's sake. But Leroy has got good pace. He might be leading a train of cars, but actually it's these 2nd, 3rd and 4th cars are probably going the slowest on the track, but down to P10 anyway. Isu's now 22 seconds behind the rest of the drivers after putting those inters on. So if people do report him for driving standards and he gets any penalties as a result, it's not really going to affect the points haul particularly. This is quite a gap. And Sieve has got a 12-second penalty on top of the 10 seconds. He's already behind Isu. Down into turn 1 they go again for the 32nd time. Larkin just 4/10 back, Felix 7 back, and Leroy now 1.7 back from Felix. If that gets out to about 2 seconds, then Russell will start to breathe a little bit easier. Isu gets another penalty, up to 9 seconds now, but Sieb winning that particular competition. So Nathan out there, he'll get probably up to about 10 seconds clear of the field after 2 safety cars, which is no mean feat whatsoever. He had the pole position. He's been quick all evening, but will anybody, I wonder, go for fastest lap? I'm sure that will favour someone like Rogers to have a go. In fact, he's already got it, an 18.8. I think Nathan might have a go though, because he's only a 10th away from his fastest lap, as he saved everything for the end of the last lap push. I wonder. I don't think these three will try it. Shaby's got past Leroy, so Shaby just gets past Leroy on the penultimate lap, but Nathan has started his final lap now. So Shaby up there. Larkin, this is his best opportunity. Will he make a move? Will he take a launch? He stays patient though. Stays in Russell's blind spot. Rogers still in 9th, hasn't got by Russell. Nathan is way out there in front. He's broken the 10-second. I think he's going to break the 11-second as Vettel gets by Killer Blue. Killer Blue just dropping back to 8th now. CPI need a good result with Jay-Z out. Of course, we lost the entirety of our championship leading Evora Gaming, Evora Racing, I should say, team. And a penalty for Felix. A 3-second penalty for Felix right at this late stage. But there are 3-second penalties for Shaby and Leroy as well. So Vettel will gain a big amount of points as he finishes the race, if he can hold on. Larkin and Felix are squabbling, but not getting by. But we really ought to give some time here to just acknowledge Nathan, who gets a penalty at the last possible corner, just pushing for that fastest lap. Nathan wins in Catalunya for the Relentless team. Russell, remember this penalty. So it's all about how the drivers finish behind him. Felix couldn't be closer to the back of Larkin, but Larkin will get second. Russell down to third. Felix in fourth. Vettel in fifth place there, overtaking everybody in that group. Shaby gets sixth. Leroy in seventh. Killer Blue in eighth. Thomas in ninth. Was let back, passed by Rogers, as we expected. Fastest lap did stay with Rogers after that invalidation for the lap attempt from Nathan on the final lap. And then finishing outside of the points, we've got Isu, Jackson, Sieb. Sieb will presumably drop a fair amount back because he's got 12 seconds of penalties to pay for. Assassin has 6 of his own though, so whether he'll get that place, no. So Assassin 14th, Michael 15th, and at the tail of the field is Boomtje, who has an extra 12 seconds to pay. But Relentless win at the hands of Nathan. Larkin got second place, but NLR, frankly, brilliant team result after qualifying and after the previous race, getting 2 cars right up there, battling for the podium to the death. So great stuff for our championship. We should see some big turnarounds. Felix gets the official drive of the day, despite that late race penalty, which I'm sure he won't be impressed with. But a really, really good performance. I mean, hands down, amazing from Relentless. Relentless is Nathan, an all-British podium. Hate to say it, anybody from elsewhere, but that's pretty cool. We've got Larkin doing a great job for McLaren, and for the only other team that were anywhere near anything in the standings after the first race, XL. So it is Relentless with the win. It's XL with second place. Then the NLR pair getting the most points out of the race for any team in third and fourth. Vettel for CPI in fifth, getting good points with the retirement of his teammate. We've got DTR's Shaby for Williams in sixth. Leroy for ARC, again good points for the 0 point scoring ARC from the first round, so up to seventh. And Killer Blue, Thomas, Rogers with the fastest lap, so ERT with a 4-point haul from this race to add to their 4 points from the race. Obviously they'll have extra from qualifying. Isu, Jackson, Sieb, Assassin, Michael and Boomtje, then Thupye, Jay-Z, Sparks and Rampage, of course, we saw disappear. Great stuff. I think Harley will announce the points at the end of the whole session today on Twitter later, so make sure you've followed at NLR Esports, you've followed at WeberRed5 if you like what you've heard today. If you don't, scroll on, that's fine. But it's been a pleasure to do this esports events with you. We will, of course, see you for the next race, and that will be on the 31st of October. Another 2 weeks away. We were trying to make sure that you don't suffer the terrible ignominy of a race-free weekend. So when F1 isn't racing, we'll be here for you on a Sunday afternoon. But 31st of October, 3 p.m. UK, we're going to Azerbaijan for the Baku circuit, and we'll see round 3. Look out on socials this week for any further points or stewards' decisions or anything, and we'll let you know how that affects the standings. Please make sure you've liked the video. If you haven't liked the video and you're one of the 17 left watching, why not? Go ahead and like it for us, please. And until next time, everybody, thank you so much, and we will catch you on the next race day.